how you start your day matters. It matters so much. So I find that when you start your day off right, whatever right means for you, but some habit, James Clear, right? Some habit, something that's consistently to start you off right, the rest of your day may not be perfect, but you can get your mindset into making sure it stays as perfect as can be.
Ramon Ray, thank you so much for joining me on the Let's Talk Business podcast.
Meny Hoffman, you're so welcome. Thanks for having me here. It's always good to spend time with you. Thank you for having me here. I appreciate it.
So our relationship goes back so long. I would say years ago. I don't even remember
Yes.
how many years. I remember we met at one of our events and we right away connected because
That's right.
one of the things that, and I think it's everybody that gets in close contact with you, is your positivity. So we'll talk
Thank
about
you.
the positivity because we live in a world with so much negativity, and you're not only positive by nature, but you are a force in the universe to push positivity. So we'll get to that. For our listeners that don't remember you from a earlier episode a couple of years ago, almost when we started, like I think it was one of the first the first 10 episodes, somewhere there.
Mm.
Tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and what you're currently focusing on.
Sure. Today, Many, as you said, Ramon has many different transformations. I'm the publisher of zoneofgenius.com, which is an online publication helping small business owners live successful lives through their personal lives and their business, similar to inc.com, entrepreneur.com, a lot of articles and content for the entrepreneur or very small business owners. So that's one. And I'm also a professional keynote speaker and event host. So I fly around the world and I host events. I've had the honor of being associated with your events. And so those are the two main things I do. And then, as many entrepreneurs, I dabble in this or that project, this or that thing, always doing something else. But my main two things, a professional speaker and event host. And then, as you said, my past, I've started 5 companies, sold 3 companies, authored 5 books, but all in as you've said, Many, the small business marketing, personal development, personal branding space.
Got it. So I want to go back exactly where we started, which is speaking about positivity. And we live in a
Mm,
world with so much negativity. And ultimately, when somebody wakes up, and the word I usually speak when I speak at events and we speak about positivity, I say, you really have to work hard on positivity because you are surrounded by negativity. Actually, a kid, I once read a study which says a baby, they will always say no before they say yes, which just comes to show how much negativity we surround ourselves on a daily basis. How do you stay so positive and why? Why did he take positivity as a mission?
well, that's a great question, Many. I think that one, you alluded to it. If I'm not positive, what does that leave me with? It's a rhetorical question for the listeners. Think about that. If Ramon or Many or you all are not positive, oh, what's left? If there's no light, think about it. I choose to shut off the light. What's the alternative? Darkness. So one, I want to make sure that I'm always have some sense of positivity because I don't want darkness, as I put it air quotes, to ever be with me, at least for that long a time. We all get sad, Many. We have sickness and sad and disappointments. That's natural. But overall, I want to try to be the thermostat in the room to change the temperature where I'm at, as the saying goes, and not the thermometer. So that's one, why I'm that way. And I think that the benefits of that, you feel better. There's going to be an offense. There's going to be people angry at you. People won't like you. People, Ramon, we don't like how you cut your hair. We don't like your shirt. We don't like your glasses. You know what? I can smile and say, it's okay. No problem. Let's move on. So I hope that's helpful, but why I want to always be in that frame of reference.
Got it. And what are some daily rituals and stuff that you do in order to stay positive? Because, I've actually spoken to a very successful business owner, actually, I think was yesterday. And he spoke to me that, he's so much, he wants to so much focus on his positivity that he decided that he's going to shut the news for 30 days now.
Mm,
These are, again, it's good because obviously you turn on the news, it's all the negativity that's gets the clicks. So therefore,
mhm.
all the publications put it on top. I guess my question to you is there any rituals that you have seen throughout the years that's been working that our listeners could actually take note from?
For sure. When I wake up faithfully, Meny Hoffman, as you get a sense, my background, devotion's important to me. My connection to God. I'm a person of deep faith, as I know you are as well, Many. So devotion's important to me when I wake up, and I have no shame about that. It's not for everybody, but that's my journey, my connection to know life is beyond just me, just beyond this physical thing we have. So devotions is very important. Number two, my health is important, Many. Some people may go to the gym and work out. I do a little bit of that, but take a walk, eat an apple, drink a bottle of water. Number three, consistently. I generally do about 50 to 80 push-ups every single day.
Oh,
And I
wow.
think, yeah, that well-rounded list for me, Many, may sound simple, but between devotions and honoring God and my faith and being centered in that, and number two, my health, I can start the day. I can handle anything because I'm ready.
Yeah, that's good. I'll just add to it because
Please.
sometimes all you need is that pause, regardless of what you do with that time. Like I know there's a lot of people that are into breath work and stuff like that. Yeah, or just running or biking,
Mhm,
whatever it is.
mhm.
It's sometimes it's not what you do. It's just taking the pause from the fast-paced life that you're in.
That's right. Because, Manny, I just
Beautiful.
want to add also how you start your day. I get this from my friend Glenn Lundy, who's an automotive expert in sales. How you start your day matters. It matters so much. So I find that when you start your day off right, whatever right means for you, but some habit, James Clear, right? Some habit, something that's consistently to start you off right, the rest of your day may not be perfect, but you can get your mindset into making sure it stays as perfect as can be.
Yeah. Another thing that I would add is we see a lot of successful business owners, and you have interviewed so many throughout the years, is most of them wake up early because they want to be ahead of their day instead of the day being ahead of themselves. And I think that's part of that. So there's a lot of people say, I don't have the time to do all these different things because guess what? You're not waking up when, God gives you back, starts the day. You wake it
That's
up on your
right.
own terms. You wake up in your own terms, therefore you lose part of the day.
That's right.
Very
Absolutely.
cool.
Absolutely.
So let's get to some business talk as well. Obviously,
Sure.
what we spoke activity is a help for business, and I think we see it a lot with leaders. And I think
Mm.
you have met so many leaders throughout the year. I want to pick your brain a little bit of some common themes you've seen when you did those interviews with successful business owners in the past. What are some common themes you've seen that you could share with our listeners that for a great leader, for somebody that's an innovator, somebody that's really successful, what are the different things you've seen them talk about or do?
Yeah, for sure. Take three people. One who I don't know personally, but have observed Seth Godin, our mutual friend. Grant
Yes.
Cardone, this rabble rousing, spicy mouthed, real estate guy. And let's take Steve Harvey, comedian, from the hood, three different people. But the one thing interesting is their focus. Different ways. Grant Cardone, focus on money, real estate, wealth building, and things of this nature for those who may not know him. Seth Godin, quieter. Hey, this is Seth. Softer voiced, amazing thinker, but he has an interesting focus and purpose builtness. And then you have Steve Harvey. Pretty much he's been consistent with his comedy and being America's kind of funny entertainer, but with a heart. So that's one thing. I can go on for hours on this, Many, but that's one thing. A focus, I think, has been one thing. I'd be curious what you say, but one thing of every good leader, there's been some aspect of focus.
I would just mirror that as far as speaking about focus, but
Mm.
I will also add, which a lot of people struggle when you say focus to them, because they say, I want to focus, but I don't know what to do. What should I focus on? Which is the word of clarity. So clarity and
Ooh,
focus go
yeah.
very much together because clarity is something that gives you the what to do when you want to focus.
Yes.
And I've seen a lot of people that I'm so into my business and I want to focus on my business, but every day they do something else. They're changing their goals, they're changing their strategy, and they're telling their people every day something else. They don't have clarity of what they want to use the focus on or what the outcome should be. So it definitely focus because without focus, you cannot achieve anything. But
Yeah.
getting the clarity first or having the clarity in the process is so and so important.
I like that is deep. Clarity. I may use that one, Many. I'll credit you the first 5 times I use it, but I'm gonna use that one.
Sure. So let's talk about it because one of the things I've seen small business, and I think throughout your career, all these years, you always focus on small
Mm.
business.
Mhm.
Although I like to call them growing businesses, there's nothing small
Yep,
about somebody having their small business. It's
that's
a
true.
growing business, but not maybe the Fortune 100 company or
That's right.
500 company, whatever it is. But that's the market that you serve,
Mhm.
and which I appreciate because that's usually the underserved market. Those are the people that are so lonely, and sometimes you have these small business, they're trying to hustle and try to do the next step, and you're just very lonely. And all these communities you have been building and the events that you've been doing is amazing. One of the challenges business owners have is not knowing like what's a shiny object
Mm.
versus should I go there because the market is going there? And a lot of people actually could look back and say, Well, when the internet came about, I made it aware. Like I felt it's not important. All of a sudden, I lost my retail shop.
Mm,
Or now we have the same conversation going on around about AI and stuff like
mhm.
that. So let's dig deeper into this conversation. I think there's a lot for our listeners to learn.
Yeah, I think it's not easy, Many, and this is going to be a constant struggle, I think, with all leaders like us. What do I stay steadfast on and keep going on? What things do I refocus on? So here's a few guidelines for me, and the same with you, Many. I've known you for many years, Many, and you've been consistent with design. Other things, well, but your design, the imagery of your company. I was impressed at your first event. That it was one of the first big events I went to. I was like, wow. I remember it to this day. So here's my advice. I think one, the core of what we do as leaders and who we are, that probably will never change. Ramon's always going to be a wise guy, bit of a humorist, sarcastic. It's just going to be me. I'm going to have a fast laugh. That's me. The people I hire, how I work, my clients, they're going to get that from Ramon. Many may have his way, how he shows up in the world. So that's one. However, if I can encourage leaders, as new technology, new things come out, just devote a bit of your time to understanding it. Then, as you hear the headlines, as you hear trusted sources like Meny and Ramon talking about it, now you should pay more heed. Because you think about AI, I get it. I don't blame people thinking some months ago, this is nothing. People, you're hearing everybody talk about it. You're hearing all of us say how valuable it is. Now you have no excuse to start to pay more attention because indeed, Many, you can get sidetracked. You can get into something and it not being. I'll give one more example. TikTok. I'm into social media, quite a bit, but I have made a purposeful decision for today. Ramon can be Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, maybe Twitter. I'm not on TikTok and I don't feel bad about it. I made a purposeful decision. I'm building what I want to do enough without that channel for
Yeah,
today.
I guess another thing that we have in common. I had the same decision.
Yeah, there was just many when I looked at the screen, one, it was overwhelming. Some of the how it displayed the feeds, I was like, not for me."
Yeah.
So, for that reason, I was like, "You know what? I can build a nice business and make some and serve people without TikTok."
Yeah. And again, some people make the decision on even limiting even more on social media for
Mhm,
their own reasons. And I think
that's
it's
right.
good. It's like I said, if you make the decision, it works for you, then great. Then just stick to it. Just
Yes.
because you went to an event and the next person said, "Oh, let me tell you a secret that will make you $1 million tomorrow. You gotta do this." Just don't take it at face value. Figure out that million, is that what you need in your business? And I think that's an important point. I want to speak to you about the other part, which is personal branding. We have our differences as far as how we position ourselves, like, the PTEX brand and the PTEX work. And you've been a speaker at our events in the past.
Mm,
And then there's obviously me as the CEO of the company. I do some speaking as well, and I'm out there. You have had many companies throughout the years, and you have been able to sell some of them and disengage from that venture because Ramon Ray has a personal brand associated, regardless of what you do today. You have had some big deals with, I remember the times with some of the, like, it was Deluxe or others,
mhm,
and that
mhm.
I don't remember which other companies in
Yeah, a
the
lot of
past.
the big small business marketers, Zoho and Microsoft, Verizon, and other companies like that.
Got
Yep.
it. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I guess my question is, when is that the right decision to stay building a personal brand versus I need to speak on behalf of my company because my company needs to be the brand?
Sure. I'll give an example in using PTEX Group and zoneofgenius.com. PTEX is much bigger. Zone of Genius is smaller. So I want to give that so people understand it. But here's a good example. I've decided, Many, I want to be the guy, video camera in my face, telegraphing my life. Look at me, I'm walking on the train, as you know, I'm eating this, and blah, 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 blah. That's what I do. That's what fits for me. And I'm an asset to the company. And we build the brand and we're able to sell it as I disengage for some things as it grows. So I'm intrinsically tied a lot to what I do, but I can also untie it because I do have some systems and processes. You have a company like PTEX Group. I'm using some broad things here, and you correct me, Many. Many's decided, yeah, he speaks, he's out there, but he has a team. It's the brand. A sales team can say, we are PTEX. Maybe people even using PTEX and don't know Meny Hoffman. Now, in my case, anybody on Zone of Genius, they're probably going to know Ramon Ray. So
Mhm.
that's a simple difference. But as we said before, it's a decision. And I think there's no decision in this case that's wrong. You just have to build it. So some of you may say, Ramon, for whatever reason, I don't want to be out in front like that. I don't want to be online all the time. for whatever reason it may be, that's okay. Build the systems and processes. And like Many is doing, you better make sure your brand is tight. You better make sure people know, ooh, that's the cooler company. That's the truck company. That's the delivery company. In my case, not that brand's not important, but I'm more a walking billboard for us. So how I show up, my colors, how I pop, that's what I'm aware of. Is that a little helpful, Many?
Absolutely. So I'll ask you a follow-up question, which I know this
Please.
comes up so many times from our listeners, which is, let's say you're a salesperson for a
Mhm.
company. You don't know if you're going to be around there for that company forever. You're a salesperson for XYZ packaging company, and you want to be out there on LinkedIn and post stuff. How do you balance of how much being the expert you yourself versus speaking about the company's capabilities?
Yeah, that is a tough call. For the owner, it's tough, but also for the employee. But here's my opinion. If you're working for a company, I think you owe it to them to give as much as you can. So, two things you can do. One, taking social media, for example, you can be one of the biggest commenter on the company's LinkedIn page, on the company's Facebook page. And maybe you don't want to be a walking billboard of the packaging company every day when you wake up, but on your personal, you can wake up and say, hey, good morning. I'm on the way to package company Z. Have a great day. Be blessed today. If that's helpful, things like that you can do because I get it. You may not want to be the brand of the company, but I think leverage the company page, talk and comment and things of this nature, and a little bit, a couple times a week, you can show people what you're doing, who you're having coffee with, and you don't have to make your whole feed about the company.
Got it. So currently, while you employ the company, you do associate it yourself with that company because that's you're leveraging that their brand, so to speak.
Yeah, I
Got
think
it.
it's important, Minnie, and I think you owe it to the company. And I think also, just to converse things, some leaders also don't like it. But my friend Scott Simons of Carter Myers Automotive, they're in Virginia, a very successful 100-year-old car dealership. His sales team, he encourages them. Take your personal phones when you sell cars, take selfies with the customers, post it on your personal feed. He knows maybe they'll leave me one day. Maybe they won't be here. But that's how confident and humble, I guess, or strong he is saying, no, my team is the best asset, so let them go forth and post, and it works for him.
Got it. Yeah, we've seen that with print ads and before social media, when a
Mhm.
company would put out a single individual as this is your sales, a car company,
Right.
a car leasing company would put out the person, come visit, Joe Schmo, so to speak.
Mhm.
And then it could be that 3 years down the road, they're not there, part of the company. That's always the risk. But while they're there, they're asset to the
That's right.
company. Got it. I want to speak to you about networking. We did not cover on the show enough about network in general. You're a network genius, which means is you build your community. And I think you've been able to develop tremendous relationships. And a lot of people struggle with that because even if they go to a networking event, they try to stick around the people they already know, or maybe but they never, it's always out of their comfort zone to reach out to really the people that they want to get to know, so to speak. What are some tips as far as how you were able to develop your network throughout the years?
Sure, I'll give one example, and I do this all the time, as you may know, Many you follow me. When I go on a plane and I sit in premium economy, sometimes first class, I'm nothing, but I've been blessed to sit in the premium seats over the years. I always turn and literally do this. I don't know if people have seen video or just hearing audio, but the point is I'm turning my head. Hi, my name is Ramon. So what brings you, where are you flying to today? Why are you going to Austin? Why are you going to Denver? Just that. Meny Hoffman, definitely, he's going to turn. He may smile or not. He'll answer me. Now I can judge. Does Many want to engage and talk with me? Maybe he's like, oh, and what brings you? And we have a nice 10-minute conversation, pass some business cards, or maybe he then tells me and reads his book. Point I'm making at, that's one example. I know I do this Many all the time, wherever I'm at. A smile, a nod, a hello. Hey, I noticed you have a black headphones on. Where'd you get yours from? Mady's, oh, my headphones? Mady's going to say, I got them at X. And that can start. You never know. Most of the time, nothing will happen. But you never know. Many Hoffman says, oh, I got them because for an event because I'm a podcaster helping businesses grow. Oh, I am too. So that's one aspect of networking I'll leave with. Open your mouth and just say hello, talk, but don't be annoying. Number
Yeah.
two is meeting in person. Just a few days ago, I met with five friends, some of them we met online. Just taking the online social media connection, let's have a coffee. Let's have a lunch. So those two
Wow.
things I say.
Beautiful. You spoke about the being on the plane. Somebody told me a couple of years ago, I remember, that he used to have that strategy. He always paid extra for his ticket in order to sit next to people that I could speak to.
That's right.
Once he was flying first class and he turned to his right and he asked that person, like, so what do you do? He said, I work for the IRS. He turned
That's right.
around. That was the end of the conversation. He said, I
That's right.
didn't want to ask him anything else. I didn't want he should ask me who I am in return. Yeah.
Exactly.
But in general, yeah, I've seen it throughout the years as well. Like if you're like sometimes you could sit there and sleep away your flight, and sometimes you could take, you know what, 1 hour and let me just have chit chat conversations, and you never
That's right.
know where these conversations lead. And guess what? You know, being believers in God, we say
Mhm.
you got to do your part. You don't know what the
Yes.
execution is. So the input is important. The output and the outcomes, these are the things that we most of the time don't control, but the input you could control.
Amen.
So
That's
so
right.
when you go to, when you have these events and so on and so forth, it is important. Now, let me ask you, because you have made relationships, like you mentioned before, some big bucks, big companies marketing to the
Mhm.
small business community. What is it different in terms of relationship building? Because we have a lot of people that want to go out of the comfort zone, reach out to larger companies that may be out of the reach in beginning. Is there a different sales method or sales conversations that are happening to everyday business owners versus to these large companies?
I think for sure. I think that if I'm understanding the question correct, I'll answer it two ways. Is that the bottom line is that relationships are so important. That's been my key to success. I can mention the brands I work with, Zoho and Microsoft, AT&T, all these brands I've worked with. As you know, many, that's my little niche of the world. I'm well known. Every large brand reaching small businesses knows Ramon. That's a fact. No question about it. I don't get all their money, but they all know my name. And that's been through the smile, just saying hello, being a nice person. How can I serve you? Because I know with when PTEX is approaching Microsoft, it's probably not so much about Meny Hoffman. It's the speeds and feeds. PTEX, we want to know the corporate history, the company, if you get what I'm saying, and some fun.
Sure.
With Ramon, smaller business. So it's like this Jenny at this big company like Ramon. Does she believe even he can deliver? We know PTEX can. They have employees, they have a building, but Ramon, so my point is for the business owner that's looking to reach for a larger brand, seek to build the relationship. Stop grasping for the money first. Stop grasping for the money first. Just, hey, Mr. Hoffman or Meny, how you doing? Can we have a cup of coffee? Tell me about your kids. How are things going? And then gently, here's what I do. Do you hire people like me? Could I help in some way? Ramon, we're thinking about it. And then seek to build the trust, build the relationship. Then, hey, Meny, I found out you're going to the Olympics or you're going to South by Southwest or you're doing a big conference. Might we earn your business to do your carpet cleaning? Can we build your stage? Can we have a chance to bring the balloons to your event? Whatever thing you're doing. Now Meny likes you. He trusts you. Now it's just a matter of, did you hit him up at the right time? Did you follow up? Is that helpful, Meny?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think there's so much opportunity and people just have the fear of approaching those larger
Yeah.
companies. And if sometimes they do approach them, they approach them wrongly, as you just mentioned. And it's all about
Right.
relationship first. One of the things that I've seen, your humbleness throughout the years, and one of the things you deliberately share is how that you were fired in the earlier years from a job at the UN,
Mm.
and you speak about it. First of all, why did you make this as a center focus when you share your bio and stuff like that? And second of all, is how would you say failure shapes a person in general, or even yourself?
I think it sounds cool, man. If I was an airline pilot, I wouldn't say like, by the way, I'm the guy who crashed that plane. I would I wouldn't say, look at me. You see when the president did this, that was me by mistake. That I wouldn't tell. Kind of as a badge of honor, I'm an entrepreneur, started 5 companies, sold 3 companies, author of 5 books, and I was fired from the United Nations and graduated from the FBI Citizens Academy.
Mm,
It's back to my brand of my shtick of my
okay.
humor. But yeah, I was fired from the UN and I was fired from that Meny Hoffman because of for being an entrepreneur. I had permission to be an entrepreneur. The permission was revoked, but at that time I had the taste of entrepreneurship already. So I didn't stop it, and they stopped. They didn't renew my contract, which is equivalent to firing. But yeah, I bring it into my story, and I think that the lesson there, Meny, we all have stories. Now, depending on if we wish to use it, but what can be your hook? We know Gary Vaynerchuk, right? He talks about I came from Russia or
Yeah.
Ukraine or wherever he's from, and he uses that. We all have a little thing we do. Seth Godin likes to make chocolate, so find that little story, that hook that can cause. Let me know more about Ramon or more about Meny Hoffman,
Very cool. So I want to get to two more topics, and I
please.
know your time is. So one I want to speak about is the concept of technology. I know this is one of the things you have mentioned a lot and you've spoken a lot about. And we see today, once upon a time, technology was available, but was very expensive, and large companies were able to afford it, while smaller companies were focusing on pen and paper or maybe Excel files. Today, there's a lot of technology almost on every type of industry. They have a unique software. Do you feel that advantage that business owners have, one service provider versus the other, is in the use of technology? And how much should a business owner focus when it comes to the conversation about technology?
Yeah, I think there's two or three things, Many. I think, yes, unequivocally, technology is powerful and a game changer. You think about a simple thing like task management, the revolution we're going through with AI. It is a game changer. But I do think the other side of that is, how are we using it? Because both Ramon have AI. We both have it. He happens to be using it in ways I'm just not. I'm just using it for grammar checking. He's innovating with it. So that's number two. But then three, I want to caution everybody listening. Remember, who are your people? Who are you hiring? That beats everything.
Oh, wow. Speaking about technology, I'm going to just give a shout out. I don't have any affiliate links or anything. There is a software called read.ai that I've started recently using for my meetings.
Okay.
It actually transcribes meetings, better than any human would take notes. Literally the temperature of the conversation, to be able to say, this is a talking point. Is this a to-do? Is this the center focus of the conversation? It's amazing the way how it could actually give you details of a meeting. I've used other softwares.
Mm-hmm.
I've come across this recently, actually from a client's meeting. I was on a client's meeting with a presentation, and then all of a sudden, an hour later, I get the summary, and I said, "Who typed this up?" Like, it was so detailed.
And the name again?
So read.ai, straight
Okay. I'm
up.
going to check it out
Read that.
myself.
Yeah, and the reason I'm saying it is because today people know that technology is out there. People know that things are out there. However, what I find small business owners having issues with is they put the technology before the challenge or before the issue, which means is I heard about this new software. Let me go out and check it out. Will they do this or will they do that? Like I see on chats, just a shameless plug. We have a Let's Talk Business WhatsApp group. We have a couple of hundred members just asking questions. So I could see a question coming in asking, okay, what is better, Monday.com or smartsuite.com? And guess what? They have some uniqueness or some similarity,
Yes.
but they're very unique in their own way. The question is, what do you need? What does your company need?
Yes.
What's your company processes? What is the company workflow, and so on and so forth, and figure out which software you need. Even like I just mentioned, Read.ai. If somebody says, I'm totally fine, I don't have long meetings, I don't have a lot of back and forth, multiple people on a call. Now, you don't need another piece of technology to sit in every meeting and then all of a sudden having those summaries come to your inbox. But if you have a lot of meetings, or sometimes you miss a meeting and you want to see what's happened and so on and so forth, then I have a challenge. Could technology solve my problem?
Mhm.
And I think for small business owners, that's something that's very important.
I love that. I love that. And that's an example of a simple tool. Could be free, could be a small fee. That technology you said, which helps with meetings, that's a game changer, especially for your day, Meny Hoffman, as an executive who does interviews leaders. That's one. And then let's take it to the next level. How do you integrate it? How can you have it with Zapier or add it to your task management to
Exactly.
give it to one of your team members? So that's how we start to
Exactly.
couple together multiple technologies.
Very cool. I want to leave the best conversation to last, which is the conversation about entrepreneurship, because you mentioned it before in the passing when you said, I got permission to be an entrepreneur. What I found recently, not so recent as well, but recently it came up more than once, where I've seen entrepreneurs that really they should have been an employee in a company. They should get their salary, bring home a paycheck, feed their kids, and so on and so forth. And took the risk. Maybe they're not made up to be an entrepreneur. And I want to ask you a very specific, when does a person use entrepreneurship as a pass versus, no, you're reckless. That's not an entrepreneur. You're just reckless. Because people use sometimes entrepreneurship as a pass to doing, stupid stuff or stuff in terms of not looking at what potential this business has, or investing other people's money into a venture and not finding out later that this exists in other, other softwares, whatever it is. So I want you to give us a clear understanding in your mind, in Ramon's words, what is the trait of a entrepreneur What if a person wants to analyze themselves? Am I made of the right material to be an entrepreneur versus not?
That is a powerful question. I'm glad we're ending on this. I love this, Meny Hoffman. A successful entrepreneur, I believe, has to have a few elements. And this doesn't mean all you'll be perfect in. Because you look at me, Meny Hoffman, we think different, our backgrounds are different. Some measure of risk. You have to be able to take some measure of risk. Whether that's Ramon Ray saying, I'll risk $50,000, Meny Hoffman saying, I can only do 5,000. Some measure of risk you have to be able to take. Number two, as Marie Forleo talks about, you have to be able to figure it out. Number three, self-motivate yourself. Can you self-motivate yourself? And I think I'll end on this fourth point. So many I can say, but fourth point, being able to lead other people, inspire other people to your vision. If you get those four things dialed in, you'll be invincible. But if you can't do that, if you like safety and security, no shame in it, work for Meny Hoffman. Let him pay you a good salary to be a good member of his team and help grow P-Tex, for example. That's an honorable thing. But Meny is going to be taking the risk. He'll be worried about the mortgage. He'll be worried about how do I hire or not, and you won't know it. That's the difference.
Got it. I'm not going to give my comment on that because it was so powerful. I want to end just what are you up to now? What should our listeners know about you, or where could they check you out?
I appreciate it. We'd be grateful for those listening to Meny Hoffman's podcast to join me at zoneofgenius.com. Really, that's where it's happening. We have articles which go up several times a day. We have a big awards event coming up, zoneofgenius.com/awards. So people can check that out. But really, the main place is zoneofgenius.com.
For the links to resources mentioned in this episode, check out the show notes at www.ptexgroup.com/podcast. Let's close with the 4 rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
Ready?
Number 1, a book that changed your life.
This is Marketing by Seth Godin.
Number 2, a piece of advice you got that you never forget.
Let things go. Don't take things so seriously.
Nice. Number 3, anything you wish you could go back and do differently.
I wish I could be a member of the United States Secret Service Presidential Protection Detail.
Number 4, what's still on your bucket list to achieve?
Go camping for 2 days out in the woods and almost like die and be attacked by a bear, but still live. That's what I want to do.
You're so cool. Ramon, thank you so much for joining us. I know your time is valuable. That is why, in the name of our listeners, we'll forever be grateful for sharing some of your time with us today. It's been a blast.